supposed to hold your phone, see the whole is there. Somebody was opening it for you. Those little decisions, if you don't take care and you don't self-discipline, you realize that these are the things that, I have currently 140 people across our offices. Currently we have about 50 or so staff. If I take those who have worked there in and out, I should say over 100 people, only one has been my relative. It's not because I don't have relatives. It is because I made a conscious effort not to create a place full of relatives. And it requires discipline to do that. If you don't recognize that your relatives will ask for favor, the relatives will ask for jobs, the thing happens and then suddenly you don't know about who. And that's what I comment. That we recognize that these are things that we should recognize that if we're accepting decision, be given opportunities to take guide. Now, and if you not recognize that in the pride cups, you are not able to handle the temptation. I've told these stories several times. When I was bought $500,000 in raw cash to meet the wrong remuneration, and it came at the time I was broke. Normally, the devil will tend to you when you are caused the bomber. And the person who brought it was a lawyer. And he was sent to review the money. I recommend the idea of I should make a recommendation. There was a claim for 11 billion euro. And I have a responsibility to look at documents and make a recommendation. I made a recommendation and the parts qualified for only 2.1 million Ghana cedis. Nothing. I was called by the person who was in charge of the position in the government who was supposed to make it right. And he asked me 3 reasons. And I asked him, aren't you the one who is supposed to be preventing this from happening? Well, he said he thinks I should use the first aid paper in myself. If you want to do the meeting, my dad's actually, I asked you, so what if we are called in 10 years to answer this question? What are you going to say? He's told the babe that so far as he remains in that office, I wasn't going to get a job from them. And truly, I never got a job from them. Subsequently, this $500,000 was brought to me. I refused. I called in rail as a witness, and I said, this is what if they are caused, I need a witness. It suddenly, 8 years later, the document that she was established and I was saw. Exactly 8 years later, I gave evidence to be. So it's very public information for those who are persecuted by it. So it is not that I put the presented it right for. Is it a person or whether when that question happens, you are bold enough to decide that you won't take it or you will take it. So I told this story somewhere, somebody said, to be my friend, they take to stick. Go away like that. I had Frederick Julius Cola, a state government state in Nigeria, who said that he once rejected by and his aunt was called into a family house and they told him that opportunity for pot was see. And he got less and less the if this happens, there's a baby as a me. Now, this is the current Prime Minister of Singapore. He said 2 seconds video it, I'm showing now. I'm not playing.
First, I will give all Singaporeans aged 40 and above a top-up pay skills mutual credit of $4,000. All Singaporeans aged 40 and above will get the top-up in May this year. For those who are younger, you do not have to worry. Your turn will come. You will get a top-up when you turn 40.
Now, let me ask the question. If this promise was made by a Ghanaian politician, will you believe this? If it was made by a Ghanaian politician, I will give everybody a top up of 4,000 Ghan cedis. Would you believe? Some may keep like in his party, but even if you believe it, ask the saying, wondering, will this money down? And what you'll be saying in your head is an issue, having this shit already. And his promise is that the future plans are also going to get it. Now, this is the thing about integrity. It comes to the point that if you have it, you are trusted. If you don't have it, Even when you are telling the truth, nobody believes. You have a high sense of integrity and make mistakes. People make excuses for it. Like beyond our belief, even when they tell the truth, they don't believe. Now, if we look around the world, you will see that there are societies which are generally deemed to be ethical. And there are people who carry studies and check which societies are ethical and which ones are not. So you see on the left side, countries like Sweden, Singapore, and what's honor is Africa is not it. Cape Verde is in Africa, Seychelles. So I literally kept high on my pressure. Actually put China and you take a bar attender. They don't understand to what it's about. They cannot test, they cannot relate to it. What exactly are you? They may actually report to, but they don't understand that. So it's how we have created our society. In Japan, you can leave your item in the tray and nobody will touch it. And then, and so they said that once, he said that. Like on the right side, uh, even before you want to item, you want to collect tools. So you see that, and it's not living it. So I put Asia, big rural countries, etc. It's the ecosystem that we create. And when this ecosystem gets worse, we get to think it's only public sector will. I had a situation where I time to be an interesting already. It was all, and I knew what to put it. Again, to man over in the public sector. Meanwhile, done in national is like memory really, that's this some connection with. So he became private entrepreneur, created his own business, and was dealing with my son. And then was that taking up and he acted, he said, but this business is for you. He said, yeah, this was why you have 10% go see the third was for me, job. And you pay that the costs and therefore all gospel members as leaders in the society as part of the elite, we should think about this and see this. Now on the screen, to the far left is a gentleman, a Christopher. I think no to it. And I'm not making genuine anybody. I want people to form their own opinions. Next to it is the Parliament of Ra. And the last 2 or 3 report of CG indicates that it is one of the institutions that they seek to be corrupt. Maybe then to the stable right is the police is on the list of entities specific per below it. I check this, which is on the list. Now it is these institutions the parliament was supposed to set the law for ethics or for morality of us to be those rights. If people believe those in parliament are not ethical and there are a lot of allegations as to whether they did crime or they did top right, there's never been cooked. But allegations come inside was for ECRP openly and somebody will repeat it because allegation ill at tapas of point. It goes on and on and on. If those who are supposed to ensure the unethical are being accused, then peace happens about the society. What scripture are you about the NP initially correct? Now the society we have to pay, which we call Dorte, was told yesterday. And the ones we are doing today is what will supply tomorrow. So we have the police, same accusations, then we have the judicial, then you have the regulators, then you have the pressure sacrifice principles. Now, I normally put against someone who is the third image will be right. I'm sure you don't always of that. This is a gentleman who gave awards to a lot of people. Dr. Ewan, yeah, which awards didn't exist. And those awards were quick. But a lot of famous people receive the awards. I'll come back to why that happens and what we can do about ethics. Was for me, there are a few things that I'm actually of what done can increase your ability to become very expert. It's becoming even worse in a system where there's a lot of pressure on us with social media. Everybody wants to appear to be looking very good on social media. Those, I mean, I read the story about a lady who was invited to be with talk in New York. And that lady had posted on Lee as she had owed it to her new $3 million apartment, etc. She was late. The session had started, she wasn't there. Then the organizers reached out today. They couldn't get bit of pay. Then they decided that, well, they would pay for it, just in case something has happened. They called up the demand, only to discover that she had been evicted from her apartment. She didn't have any $3 million apartment. She was paying with somebody and had been thrown off. Yes, she was an inspirational speaker. That's putting people were really and boosted about it. But the radio. So, even those who is curious may not necessarily be a digger. So it's important that we just know what somebody's success or what they serve us, but to be focused on the principles which underline the things that drive it what we claim to be. It's why you can have a ULD pick hours and a lot of it. Did it without question. Much beyond if you have a situation where we have a large number of people who are youth to the Bible middle in the amicable, hostile, uncertain, complex, and very people's world. And then how millennials and Gen Z combine together are talking about 50 by 60% of the population. And the real world, which is virtual, where knowing people face to face is increasingly becoming less. And therefore, when they don't do the right thing, at times, what we wake up, your father will at you, and then he's enough. Or your mother is at you at the seagull. This is more like completely different. They are the ones who are going to lead the boat having the world. We shouldn't assume that they are prepared to steer us. I tell you, Scott, I was once in a restaurant, got into a restaurant in the evening. It was about 9 p.m. I'm sitting there, and then my daughter goes see. I see her going with a young woman. She's an adult, so daughter is here to eat with an adult eating bread. So I sent her a WhatsApp. Are you asked? It's reachable. Then she said yes. She says, are you there? I said, yeah, there. She asked me, what are you being? So I've already to that. In my base, I would have run out one restaurant. Then she's asking me, what am I doing? Oh, this is a Biana Yusu. That's the boy, believe me. It's the ability man more. But we can't abandon that. We can't link them with that. We need to introduce them and we need to talk about it. And I'm not talking about this as how I talk to my children as much as I can. Recently, my son started something that really surprises me. She with the posts on social media. I thought I liked from my partner. And I didn't ask him to eat. And some of the things he posts, I get surprised that as I copy them every chat. Apparently, he's basically, let's say, over the last 3 years, he thought Louis, we record some pieces. And he was supposed to, what I learned from my father, made no intervention in what he posts, etc. He recently told me when he was approached, he was president of the Summer Immediate Students Association, was approaching cast by who XDSK PDB. And how much I stopped to him not to go for any of these things, but focus and focus on break and build a career. And I had forgotten about it. So it is this example, and I believe somebody who there from here, and it goes on and on and on. We are the leaders of tomorrow, as we like to say. And especially in their cases, even ways when they live in a very competitive world with a lot of pressure on social media. So they mean a lot of our attention. There are a lot of people who have this mental health and all receive the tournament. And there is something that we like as adults. Adults about your peer pressure actually. We know, but we don't admit it. That is why people may want their children to have a certain lifestyle. And even when they cannot afford, they may steal from the office to say they now involved to school so that they can also measure, so you can tell our publics that this is a by chicken is a pro, by chicken professor, a lot of the things you do to lead skilled work to our has a problem that we also cause in making them unethical. So we are part of the borough. Now, why do all these things okay? And how come when we try to do something about it becomes very difficult? I think this picture summarizes it for me. There is first a big desire for success, irrespective of how we find our own success in our own way. And that desire for success leads us to create a God on our own without being writing. We are needing to worship other gods without the others. For me, creating a God before God is when there is something you like so much that you will sacrifice everything for it. That is your God. If there is anything you need so much that if you don't get, I pray every morning, I pray the most prayer. And when I want something, I tell God to. And I tell God this is will not fight. If I don't get this fight, it means that I want to get. Nothing should be so important that without that I can't move on. It creates so much pressure for you and it creates all the mental health and all this you build. So if success, however you define it, whether it is done in the house, whether it means speaking money, whether it means being the base, however you define it, it's very important to you. Like you to sacrifice anything for it. Therefore, they bring it by $100,000, see you collect. Because you that thing means so but do you need to show you need to buy a few more cars and all that. Fail is another one. You want to be fail for so what's still your this here. You want to do pay. That is why your you and bring us about the free creditors. What is the reason? Now, a film is quite important, and these things are this I said earlier, these temptations are not different from the temptations on the mouth. Is they say it, you want to be famous to everybody so that they know that the poverty is around the their replicas of how to live. Then what is another one? So it's either you are testing for success, that's what you don't have, and therefore you bow before Satan in order that you satisfy that hunger, and the hunger is not bread and milk, it's everything that is satisfying you for that success you desire. Or when you have that thing already and you want to grab more, because so far as you are concerned, you grab it and now you want to add to it. I'll give you all this river before me. Or you want to give one boss. You want to show power. I have to stand up for the back and jump off this cliff so that you to understand what you have with demonstrates. No. If you have power, you don't have to tell somebody's shoe that you should touch my power. You have to prove it. And that is why I said that inside very pompous, you are not to have got to work right to show we are power on the time. And try to show others that I have authority. If real authority is that it should not a sex. It doesn't make money people with crown, we should not practice the law. What it means is that we should not use power to show and where power lies. It is a different thing from making sure that we are infracting say but we then we want to show where power lies. That is how. And we do it even in tribal issues in the chief's palace. They say, I fear you come to me a shambra. That's what he says at the chief's palace. Yeah. Therefore, power the houseberry and that funny try to show it off. And once you are doing that, ethics is thrown away. That is why I'm like, people leave the position of managing director every day. Secondly, they hold powerless. Because the powerless won't be believed. Like I always tell, if you are called to the tail because of the seat you occupy, then you are not going to be that thing. If the only busy you are being called to the tail because of the seat, then you are not working at the tail. Because the day will come when you will not occupy that and you will not be at the tail. You should care a tail because of what you espouse, what you stand for, what people believe in you. They tend to and away from you. Why are you up by seat? More or less. That is how I believe that should be encouraging others to live. So what can we do about these things? A lot. We can consciously, as Christians, as leaders, consciously ethical behavior. Identify ethical behavior, people that we think are unethical, especially in public service. And I talk about it because there are people we criticize about. If you think somebody has double treated high ethical behavior, it is okay for us to be, let's yes, I teach, measure is a bit. So I went here and this person unbearable And it's worth to mention, at least the little pride that we could get from those things may encourage others. It's also really care institutions and promote ethics. So it's not just a question of doing it at gospel level, but in our various outreach forums, we talk about it, how we can be ethical. You will see that at least you get one disciple to consciously promote transparency in wherever we go as much as possible. And I see this does in very simple steps. I mean, our past people private of the institution simply have an email I can simply send an email to encombre about somebody media. I put my name there. If I can wipe approach all these long processes, it makes it difficult for me to even want to come forward. And then it also encourages people to lie when they don't have many facts and you just want to bring other people. Now, we should not forget that we people in the country where there wasn't this school before, where it was okay for people to report other people, and those people get some cheat as a result of a report, some false reports. So a society like that which has gone through that, the more transparent you are, the easier it is for people to want to be ethical and to not forward. Now, we must also try and encourage the churches we belong to return to how the gospel was preached. When I was growing up before now, I go to church and I hear lessons about ethics. And this I hear so often that it reduces the tendency to be unethical. Or you do something I usually been upgrade. Now the churches, and I like to eat it, I could tell this that the churches used to preach the importance of others and how good name is better than riches. These days, they most rather I give these relational basics and teach how people can make money. Has the contents of the Bible changed? Or the priesthood has become more profitable than enterprise? That I think is what's happening. If your priesthood itself has become a business, then it becomes difficult for the priesthood to teach ethics because those who are supposed to teach ethics are themselves doing the unethical things. And I think it's important that we, in our own little way, rub attention to these things. But so we lead by example and that we can build a trust that others can copy from us. What is happening in Fort Tepe? And I was giving a lecture somewhere and I illustrated this. They said the area of people who are moving to those countries on the left, Canada, Germany, United States, UK, Netherlands, is part of a national mindset we have created, where people don't feel that they can make it here anymore. And they just make it here because Amoka very see merits. It is whom you do, or somebody says this is whom knows you. That's what the society has become. So if merit is up the way that I can get assessed what I otherwise qualified for, then I will escape. And yeah, three type of escape which is happening actually. And we should be very careful. The first escape is happening to the left. That is the large one we talk about, a good living in the country. I hope that they will become prodigal sons and may return. But unfortunately, many have not to return. I know the sad story of a gentleman. He said, type bank about honest remote backers. I always see his name. He helped 55 young men like, to come back to Ghana who were all graduated in the US. And the hope was that this would come nucleus. After 3 4 years, 54 had left. The 55th one said he stayed because his father was ill and she was waiting for the mother to pass. Then he woke. And all of them made examples as to the prosperation there is in what they were doing. So they escaped out of the country and as rente to the people we trade. Recently, I listened to a talk by the head of the Ghana College of Science, Medical Sciences, a calling of physicians rather. Some amazing how patrimony spend on doctors and the speed with which they live there. Because we don't give them equipment, because we don't only treat them very well, and these are the high brains of our society who are just living So that's the first part of escape. If we create a very unethical society where people cannot all happy, there's a second escape. That second escape is to the church. Many people who create churches overnight and claim to have a calling when they have no such calling are actually escaping so they can create money for themselves and live and have that fame about everybody. And then they will claim that they have seen prophecy that they have not seen and things like that. Yes, I know can all cause me. I've seen it before. But in what about calling? But if God calls you and you tell it something that becomes a cult, that you use it for money, then you have lost a line that God asks you to. And you want to escape everybody. There is this whole desire to escape from the suffering, and you become different from many other people. The third escape is into politics. The rushes to politics is to become different from everyone. And I see people, as a result of monolithical society, escaping to these areas and creating more ethical problems, especially in politics and business, and the church for many people. And I think these are things we need to talk about as a big build the future, more ethical society than we currently have. Because unless we build trust in the society, the people will not be confident to believe that staying here or doing what they are going to do will end up achieving the success they desire, unless they become very unethical or go into politics that like the other bases. As I indicated, we should talk about the need to satisfy an income at all costs. You can succeed, but it shouldn't be at all costs. It shouldn't be at the cost of doing things so unethical so you can appear successful. Because that is what leads to the unethical is that we talk about. And we must talk about it to confuse ambition with greed. The two are not the same. It is very okay to be ambitious, and I'm an ambitious person. Ambition is desiring to achieve more with the capacity you have and giving glory to God for the land. Greed is denying other people their rights to achieve their own. That is the difference between the two. A diplomat came to my office and told about the video she saw about a group of people who loaded money from national professors and took it. I don't believe it's true or not, but I was still tested right. If that is true, that is a bit because that money is money that was meant to help another people achieve a move. If you collect it, you are denying other people of their right to achieve their way. That is not appreciated. And it doesn't matter how much money I will make and become special by escaping from the society that we all live in, a code, either into politics or of business, unethical business or abroad, you are still unethical. Without letting people understand that it is more admirable to achieve ethical success than unethical success. The success is so. That's what find an ethical society and we will spark. For example, we ought to talk about peace. Back to my vapors point, we must address positive. I said the desire to feel that they are not my co-equal to quote somebody and special. I occupy this position, so I'm not sure. You mean the president, assemblyman, and some small voter, he was corona. And on the with kindness, I can understand not the honor. I that person it's no, it's not a honorable amount. I just to say with the bimmer. I just say, and what he do for the wonder. I see we go introduce themselves and they ask them their name and they say, my name is honor. This is so don't know because not part finished. Or they say, I am doctor. So the doctor is not part of the name. You are associate, so I'm a title. So on these things, yeah, it's fine. But the certain about us is deep down on post people are confidence. There is something inside them that makes it be animate. And they overcome that by pretending to be better than other people. That's exactly what is happening. So probably they need our sympathy. Nice ways of apology them that look, let's be ethical, let's be so. less cheaper, but just pretty beyond. Everybody has access to is that listen, corporate simplicity and humility true great persons. And if you don't talk about these things, people don't recognize them. So you realize that suddenly somebody becomes an MP and if he's a siren and if he's a social policeman and rest of us. We need to talk about MPs are my friends. We need to talk about that. If we don't talk about this, they suddenly you see that the moment they leave the position, then they become this how. And opacity is part of our biggest challenges that leads us to become more McDonald because it needs to look higher than everybody else. We need to also let people understand that if we want to tackle ethics in the law of the least opinion, no society can survive in an identical environment. No state ever succeeded in an identical environment. It doesn't matter how much it rises, it collapses. A rise of China is one example issue. The society got conscious pays attention to ethics. They so Christians, see, but they punish you could not be the way they punish people, lead people to become ethical. Or it could do some like Muslim countries where or still they better see or better also. It may break to you, but at least they're able to sustain here. I'm not encouraging that we should papa cutting figures, but I'm saying spend happy really by talking about the dangers of not doing these things. I think we address up these things and help build a more additional society for businesses and what the rest of us can.
I thank you very much. It's a rotate. I'm sure we have a few questions to ask.
So, out of our 10, 15 minutes for questions.
So, any questions? Let's start.
What's your questions? Wishes was. Thank you. Just said that.
No, I must say that I'm privileged that around the year 2000, I was a student at a polytechnic as a QA, soccer person, law lecturer. And I remember one of our classes, you said that you were among the few unfortunate lawyers at that time. Since then, I've been following the teachings and I proud that I also continue to be a student. Now, my question touches on the ECG thing, though upon the questions before basic. I would like a clarification that in the past, when we have the full speed, you don't pay your electricity. The time I catch you, you pay penalty and others. Now we have prepaid that you advance money to ECG. So he has a lot of money to run. Yet now ECG is saying that it's running loss and he cannot even collect money that we are ready to give ECG. Now government is saying that it's going to look for partners to help ECG collect money. Meanwhile, we have an MD that is giving all the largest to think get the best out of ECG. Yet now they're going to give partners to be. So I am a bit worried. Give us the clarification why ECG, the money we are giving them ahead of time, still is not enough for them to run. And then we have an MD who is appointed, giving everything to help brand ECG. Yet we have to give you partners to collect money for him. Thank you.
You see, it's a typical example of what we do to ourselves as a society. And one of the first accuracy that one of the things we do as a society, first is to deceive ourselves. Then after we have deceived ourselves, we try to deceive the masses. Then we are all in deception. That's what we are. And we deceive ourselves by accepting that something else is responsible for our non-performance. I give you a better examples. I cannot count the number of government entities. Each used to be called committees, which wanted to be changed to commission. And under the change to commission, they wanted to change to authority. And they will tell you that the authority will give them authority. And when they become authority, they become less authorities. Now, you see that ECG used to be a statutory corporation, but it's called the Emerald Corporation. Sometime in 1987, we were convinced that we should convert all these statutory corporations into companies. And how they become companies, they would become profit out. Then we change them to companies. Then they feel less profit out. In fact, all the companies are worse off than when they were statutory corporations. Then we were convinced that let's give them capital. Then we gave them capital. In fact, at some point, government borrowed 300 million on lend to ECG as an example to recapitalize ECG. I don't know how many of you saw it recently when the president said he wanted to bring the private capital support. I issued an op-ed called the Hydra-Headed Challenges of Private Participation. It went viral. The committee the president set up invited me. I spent 2 hours having discussion with them online of regarding my views. Which some of which I hear the two on board. We've sent their all to complete urban series. But from what I heard, it looks like they recognize exactly what we're talking about, that there are a lot of challenges in governance, which if addressed, can solve the governance. So the issue relates to not just converting this from a statutory corporation to become basic, but how we behave. Now, if we bring private participation and we have the same attitude, nothing will change. And this is not, you remember, this underwater tried it before with aquabutanes rank, if you remember. At my IPS, it was stimulated. ECE prioritization or prep, but attempted also previously. With PD ended up in PDS. And if you remember the PDS scandal, it was attempted by some people to take it for themselves. Yes. These are facts you have to face them. If you don't recognize that, if you want to bring in private participation, some of your friends may want to take it for themselves. You'll be surprised when they go to take it for themselves. I don't know whether you get it, and I'm climbing home. So for me, I have made this statement. I'm a lawyer. But one of the things I don't believe in at all is let's amend the constitution. No, you'll be surprised. But to hear me, I don't believe in that. There are one of aspects of the constitution I believe should amend. For example, the requirement for the president appoints majority of ministers from parliament. I think it should be amended. I can count on my fingertips. Other than that, I will leave the constitution as it is. And I'm coming to your point. In 2023, January 7th, the date of giving the positional day lecture, and I gave a statement which I repeat. That's the number in my heart. I said no law in the world is so strong as to prevent an evil-minded person from doing it. There's no law in the world, and which is so strong that it prevents an evil-minded person from doing it. And no law here is so bad as to prevent a good-minded person from doing what is about us. Now, when I read the Constitution, it tells me that cabinets shall consist of not more than 19 ministers. But when we decided to separate cabinet from ministers, we went all the way to 123. Luckily, the current president has brought it to 56. I even heard a member of the party say he promised 60. No, a member of the party say he promised 65 to 6. And I think this is not 60. Now, I think he has that ball by bringing it to 56. I even wish he would read it better now. So when he decide to go around the law, you will go around it. Hey, top us what? Yes, that's what I do it. We have to go around the law. Some we do it hermeneutically, some we do ethically. I don't encourage your unethical. So how come ECG with all that to not make profit? The answer is very simple. Because we have decided not to make profits. It's very simple. Because the people who realize ECG is making profit, you go into procurement. You know the amount of people who get procurement contracts from the state-owned enterprises. I hope you heard the president recently say that how can you manufacture alcohol and make losses? You know, that that thing is when people decide to be corrupt, they will create procurement contracts and ship away the amount of money with the private pockets. And why those people are politicians, or they have politicians backing them, or they have big chips buying them, then there is very little we can. A society big as small is side to enforces us and do the right thing. Fire MD or TC if we observe a wrong thing. If we don't do that, then there's nothing we can do. I'm not digress, and I passed suspension several times, and I was missing worship. Let's assume we wanted to have a very clean society. Very clean society. Saying that Rwanda is very, very clean. It's so clean that once I was in Rwanda and I said, this place cannot be so clean like us. I was looking for the plastic bottle on there and I took my phone. We drove around town for a long time and then I saw one. By the time I turned on, there was a passerby helping Mr. Wood to the me. I couldn't take a picture. Yes. And it reminds me of Singapore. It's so clean. And Limbai said they were 50 people who were chinchilling down. Now, let's assume Ghana decided to be so really in order to ban holding bulletin bags. And I ask this question. Let's assume Nana Santini or Toby Abede or for Yana, one of the fan Raimako to holding 2 bulletin bags himself. Tell me who would take it to their hands. You know anybody who will vote to one of these chips and say, come break quality bags to Ghana? We have created a society where some people are so powerful and the law doesn't do it. Unless understand that this is society and they assume we decided to ban polythene bags. I'll call all the chiefs to Ben. I say, Nanan, you can't carry polythene bags. If I see, I'll make an example of it. And I'm telling you, if I'm going to give you one example, link the example. If you made that example, everybody will see you as well you care. But the moment you ask, what will always give you the example? Trust me, it's the example. But when the chance comes with that example, and you are like, oh, then they broke him into begins. Then the next example. Then the next example before Ipawe. So ECD can very profitable. There is a study on how that says ECD can turn over 500 million profits to the government if properly managed. And I'm talking about $1 billion. Will it be properly managed? Unless we are ready to harness the people be put in charge, it won't happen. Triple C. This is a petty pro status. And yes. Oh. Yeah.
Yes. I would like to ask a question concerning medical standards where supply choker, special care, the JDCs, low. You said something that back in the base, in a way our parents process. I mean, born at the base that a father who is cultural logical partner will see is the young or probably kitty, and that will not be an issue is the spirit of the material. Does not really what the part here that to me a piece is strict. I don't know whether it is ye as parents, we that we are not creating our children up well, or it's the care influences that they go under. Because maybe you as a father, you do everything possible and to train your child, to teach your, yes, as she said, your son post case I've met from my father. You do all this, and then the next thing you hear, your child or your daughter or son is involved in something. Then you ask yourself, so what I do your bread I go your, so in this situation, now you are trying to teach ethics. Starting from infants, how do you teach that child this sort of thing before getting to the media, social media work? Because our target was it said. I remember our target was storybooks you were exchange, fairy tales. You go to somebody's house, you collect the pretty little plates and all artists. And then you always run to it, but now it's more like that. Big books, you try to buy big stuff, a child to you, it's like you are disturbing that child. So how do you go about?
I think at times one of the mistakes we make as adults is that we think we are different from our children. We are not different from our children. They just happen to live in a different society where things are faster. They can turn on the what do you go microwave and get the food, and therefore everything is faster for them and all that. But we are not different from our children. When we were young, our parents used to complain, the children of these days. I remember, like, maybe when the children of those days, they say, the children of his days, they don't respect and they don't, but they nevertheless stop talking. They nevertheless, they remain stop talking to us. We were really courtesy for boys and girls. I don't know whether that thing is still there, as whether it's been updated. So, but notwithstanding, at least they taught us how to greet and all those method things. I'll tell you a story which is surprising. I hope one day I'll write my biography. If I read my biography, how I became a good reader and how I learned a lot of ethical things in a year will surprise many people. My father had a bookshelf in living, and I went just looking through there. I was 11 years. By age 13, I had read the Bible twice, from beginning to the end. And it's done purely by accident. And read The Power of Positive Thinking, a guide to confident living, started reading books on ethics by 15. I was reading recently and I've begged one of my classmates was saying, when we were in secondary school, when they were reading Tintin, the books I was reading was surprising them. I used to read a lot of, they happened purely by accident. When I was going through my father's books, I saw a book, The Technique of Sex, and I picked it. That is the book that interests me. I was 11. So I'm saying that because I said we are not very different from our achievement. It's curiosity. What is this thing? Then I saw demonstrations. Then I took it to school. My father passed about some 30 years ago. He never heard this story to this day. He never knew that that is what changed me. And I left my father's house very, physically. I was kicked out as an pastor. And the things I have gone through as a human being and what I have met, those books I read between 11 and 40 have influenced me to this day. Now, I took this technique of sex to speak. And then we all curious children. We all read that somebody stole it. And my father, he's a very observant person. He knew I was the one who goes near there. He has to find this, and I needed an answer, and I knew I would be beaten. So I went back with the bookshelves. Then I saw a guy confident in me and decided to pick it and read it so he would know I'm reading it. My life became basic. Now, it is okay if you see your child do something auto. If you don't remember that you went and picked the book on sex before you came to confidently me and you will judge your child. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. We have to talk to them. We have to encourage them. We have to be open about it. They are different. It is not like, as I just told you about my daughter who is asking me, what are you being at the restaurant? Where she should be running away. It's a different thing. You need to encourage you. Oh, I'm here with my friend. Oh, okay. No, he's a gentleman you are working with. Oh, the gentleman is my classmate. I talk to my children. You have to talk to them. As we talk to them over and over and over. You see, you build so much confidence and they stop hiding things from you. The things my kids discuss with me, you will be surprised. It doesn't mean that they can't do anything bad. No, it doesn't mean they will not hide anything from you. But once you build that confidence in it with them by continuously talking to them and not judging them, it is the judging them they don't like. And when we read the blue light, because we live in a different era, we are so special and then they are so bad. No, they are just children. And the society has become worse, and therefore they have a bigger chance to do worse things than we had. I mean, in our days, you go to church, my boss. When I was telling my kids the other day that I took Fanta only at Easter and Christmas, and By Christmas, by 24th, I need to find my partner I would share the Fanta with because I didn't have a full but we share. So if it's Fanta and Coke, you need just a glass each. They were like, how?
Say, and chicken was for Christmas. Yes.
Now, you have me, yes, things have changed. So it's only the scenario which have changed. I think we should continuously engage in the film and that what we do. We are children. Some may be boo, some may be bad. After in the Bible, there was a prodigal son. Yes. So that's the main view about these things. Yeah. No. Yes, sir. See, visit now. Not should last one.
Thank you very much, sir, for this. I also want to acknowledge that I was at the AGI
Okay.
when this and I to speak. Made a battle crashes. I was in the corporate bombers class and in London, and our perpetual appointment prescribed medicine for Africa. And he said, what we need in Africa is an independent judiciary and independent police system to address the corruption in Africa. Relating this to ethics, what do you say? And
I mean, unfortunately, I don't agree with him. It's not because I don't get weaker, a corrupt society. That's what I've been talking about. No, that we need an independent police, an independent judiciary, and I highly encourage that. In fact, independent judiciary can even change our society by the number of people who trust our system. When somebody does an investigation and they say eject white shit as right or eject goat, you remember those stories? It kills confidence in the judiciary. So I believe that a very strong judiciary is. And London benefits a lot from a strong judiciary. People have disputes, let's settle in London. And it means people are going for hotels, they apply veto. Those are the things that make a society grow. So I'm all for it. But I'm also not oblivious to the fact that the society we have was also created by those people, the so-called white people. They created that. You know, I'm going to say something, and it's a tweet that I was going to do today. I was very busy at movie tweet to say. I said that we have come to the point in life where we must be able to distinguish that which is a lie from that which appears to be true. Because we are still which appear to be true, but we can do it are not true. And the difference is that before in the colonial days, deception was part of the gate. In the current era, deception is the game itself. It's not part of the game anymore. There is a conscious desire not to see us prosper. I'm not familiar with that aspect. And at times, they do that by speaking the truth. Because it is obvious and therefore you believe it. But behind it is a lie. I don't need a new white man to tell me that we are corrupt. I can see the corruption around me. But part of the bribe, a large part is paid by them. They are equally corrupt. Look, if I want to see the president, I'll go through a long protocol. It's easier for them to see the president than I. I recently have forgotten where we know I gives a lot of talk. And I gave the example of a period when my firm sponsored out of the sponsors of a Ghana Investments Conference in London. And the organizers were shocked at what I told them to their face. They invited me and they wanted me to have 5 minutes with the then president. And I said, why? And they said, because you are a sponsor, we are giving all the sponsors 5 minutes with it. And I told them, man, if I have to leave Ghana to come to London for you to arrange 5 minutes to see my president, then it's not worth. I refused. I was the only person who didn't take that 5 minutes. And I never saw that president until he left power, even though that president somebody I knew before he was in opposition. Why do I need, for want of a better way, a white man to introduce me to my president? You know, we have been slaves, or we have a brother. For people who were enslaved for 400 years, who were colonized for 150 years, if we can still call other people and the people who would let us come out of our problem, then we have a big problem. When I thought about people being carried on shoulder, I need everywhere of me. It is these people who are carried on shoulder, and it is their profiles who started selling us. I'm not blind to that fact. If we can carry those people on our shoulders still, we have a problem. When I hear people talk now, the chiefs are custodians of our culture, are bozils. My point is simple. First, there is nothing cultural that being carried from Ibalangi. Two, why should culture be in custody? You know what has happened over the years in that when a people have been enslaved for so long, it affects the mindset of the society. It kills our confidence as a people. When they decolonize, it kills the confidence. When after independence, our leaders are also couldn't transform the society, they became corrupt. It makes and reinforces that. When believes to make coups and then they become corrupt, it reinforces that. When we go back to democracy and everybody who goes into power is creating what for himself, it reinforces that. Then they come and tell you it is because you are corrupt. They forget that it is because they created this overwhelming law period. You are a Christian. I'm going to draw your attention to something. Something that Satan is doing that Christendom is not aware. Yes, there are a lot of videos created by these same quiet people who start telling people that it's because of Christianity, that's why we are poor. You ever see some? Oh, a lot. And they tell you that every society which is religious is poor. And Africa is poor because of religion. This be all over. I tweeted against it and I said, when you confuse religion with Christianity, you create a poor. In Saudi Arabia, what? Are they not religious? Is UAR not religious? People think China don't believe in God. Yeah, Buddhist country, a large amount of Buddhists. What about India? What about Rome? Religion doesn't make people poor. It is corruption and bad mentality that make people poor. But when the people want you to believe that you are incapable of transforming, they find a reason. And they find a reason by first doing divide and rule and deceiving your chiefs. When your chiefs buy into it, then they bring guns to enslave you. Then they get your chiefs to sign a bond of 1834 that they want to protect themselves against each other. Then they colonize you for 150 years. Then after they give you independence, they tell you it is your leaders and corruption. Constantly, you are told as to how you cannot succeed. I mean, that's a made we go to IMF 18 times, and each occasion, only one person rejected IMF for having grown. The otherwise, well, it is 18 times, only he threw, and they were through him anyway after he rejected IMF. You see, anytime you are going to IMF, we give only one reason. What is the reason? That we are going to be disciplined and to stick to our expenditure limits. Why? Why not we stick to our expenditure limits before we go to IMF? We have created a society which is not just unethical, but where the leaders themselves have no confidence in the ability to transform the society. Deep down, they think a white man can, and I will not shock you. That is why we can call another called development partners. What about we? Which partner are we? And the development partners? These words all are meant to conscientize us. You know, yes, it is true. The statement they made is true. But let's be careful of the ones who come in Shiski. Because some of them are the main reasons why we are having these corruptions and the unethical society. That's my response.
Thank you very much. Right.